When you're finished with your knitting, in order to anchor these stitches on, you're going to want to create what's called a bind off or a cast off, depending on which country you're in. There's some kind of very fancy bind offs you can use for specific situations, but for most people, the standard bind off is going to do the job for everything. So all you do for that is you work 2 stitches. In this case, I'm knitting them, but if it was in ribbing, you'd be knitting or purling whatever was on your needle. So you'd work 2 stitches in the stitch pattern. Then you take the second stitch on the needle and you lift it over the first one. Then you work the next stitch and you take the next stitch and you lift it over the needle. And so that is actually all you're going to do all the way along until you reach the end. And when you reach the final stitch, obviously I've got a lot more here, but if this was the final stitch, you cut the yarn and then you just pull that final tail through that stitch and all of your stitches are anchored. You do want to be careful that you don't pull the yarn too tightly, because if you pull those stitches very tightly, you can end up with it puckering in a little. So just be aware that the tension you use on your yarn will control how tight that bind off or that cast off is. So now you know how to finish off your knitting.